What's up, guys? Welcome to Fitter Food Radio. We are episode 207. Can you believe it? And it's me, Matt Whitmore, with the one and only blonde bombshell,
Chesney Hawks. I am
Kelly
lonely.
Schmarsden.
That was my first ever concert. I've probably said this before
Really?
on a
First ever
podcast.
concert?
First ever live concert.
Do you know?
Chesney Hawks, and it was Mark Eaton Park in Derby,
Oh, yeah.
Radio 1 Roadshow. That's what it
Oh,
was.
yeah. I think mine was 50 Cent.
Was it?
Yeah.
When you were 30,
Yeah.
35.
No, when I was a young'un. That was a good concert, actually. Enjoyed it.
Wasn't as
Um,
good as Chesney Hawks, though.
I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure it wasn't. But we got a lot to talk about today,
We have
as
indeed.
always. First off, fantastic news. We sold out our first ever Portugal retreat,
We
didn't we?
did. We did.
Absolutely buzzing. Obviously, the intention with these things is to sell out, but we didn't think it would happen quite so quick. So
No, it's been
thank
amazing.
you very much to everyone that's got involved. We're very, very excited. It's in October.
In the mountains.
And yeah, it's 6 months away, but it's one of those things where you're like, it's gonna fly by.
I'm already planning it in my head.
Yeah, way. Best way.
Playlists, everything.
Best way. Get ahead of the game. Get ahead of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
game. So,
But we've
but
also been chatting
with
because we had two retreat ideas. So now we're thinking of getting our second one on sale as well. So watch this space, be on our mailing list, go to
well,
our website.
to be fair, like the FOMO was real, wasn't it? We had a lot of people going, "Oh, I can't believe I've missed out," and which was lovely, but also you feel a bit guilty, like, "Oh, yeah, I would have, I would have loved for them to have come as well." But unfortunately, like we do have to limit numbers, so we're like, okay, well, let's start looking ahead, get organized, get another date in the diary for that kind of retreat. But we've had this idea. Well, it was more your idea initially, was like a almost like a walking retreat, wasn't it?
Yeah, so basically here, one of the things that's helped my mental health hugely, when I came out here with long COVID to recover, I started walking the Rota Vicentina, which is like the coastal path of Portugal, kind of similar to the Camino Way in
Spain.
Spain.
Yeah.
So it has this kind of like pilgrimage. It's basically a pilgrimage, but what they've done over the years, me and you have been coming in for 20 years and kept trying to walk it, get lost in like blazing heat, wouldn't we? Sometimes with Hamish, once Hamish got hold of a chicken, like it just never went well, did it? Do you remember we came around the corner as a farm, or there'd be like farm dogs,
To be
and
fair,
we found
we
it quite
we
stressful.
we we didn't really plan very well for it. We just kind of winged
We
it.
kept
So
trying to follow the signs, but then the signs would disappear. But what they've done since lockdown is made it awesome in terms of they put all the signage in, so it's easier to
idiot
follow.
proof.
Yeah, I mean, there's a map proof.
Yeah,
So you don't have massive blazing rows with each other because you're
yeah.
dehydrated and lost at like
Huh.
midday. And yeah, but what I said was it would be really nice to organize chunks of it that I know are really lovely, mixed in with dinner at our favorite restaurants around here, where we know you can get things like amazing seafood and sweet potatoes and all the kind of traditional
Mm.
Portuguese food. So a shorter kind of retreat that's more based on hiking and then also hiking with, I'm going to get a few other professionals involved. So you're walking and talking all day long. That's my idea. Walking to wellness.
Honestly, like I think it's such an incredible idea because, like,
Also, then for social media, I get to just go and walk for loads of periods of time just to
yeah,
go.
it's work, it's
Yeah,
work, it's
yeah.
promo, it's marketing.
With
Um,
Hamish.
but like, we are of course like big on nature, being outside as much as possible. And, like out here, it's just so much easier to do that because A, the weather's amazing most of the time. And B, there's just some incredible like trails here, isn't there? Like
Yeah,
you've
yeah,
got
it's amazing,
you've
isn't
got
it?
like cliff tops, by the sea, you've got more like inland, like woodland. It's a really, really beautiful mix. And we're big on conversation as well
Hmm.
and actually getting people together, changing their environment, getting them into like a really, really healthy environment in nature. And
Well,
like Kerry
it
said,
came off
just
the back of when friends visited last year. I'd be like, right, I'm up early, usually because it's obviously in the summer that it's so much warmer.
mm,
I'd be like, I'm going to walk Hamish. And a lot of friends were like, I want to come. And we would just flesh out a lot of life problems together, like on a
yeah,
walk. And I did that a lot in the UK, to be fair. Getting a dog, I think we've often said is the best health investment because you get out, you meet some friends, but you then have this way to like bookend your day, sometimes with company, sometimes without. I think it's great to do both.
Mm.
But it is that I think what's amazing about the West Coast though, and that's the weather is a bit more changeable. So you can have like these sea mists that come in, which so you can almost have like winter in one bit and then you're in summer, aren't you? Like
Yeah.
10 minutes down the road, it's crazy. Then the wind like picks up, which I really like. But I think
Oh.
also no, not that wind. I think it's yeah, just like the West Coast, just everything changes all the time. So, sorry, where I was going with it is like you can see for miles as well. So you just get this sense of perspective
Mm.
and how, in the face of Mother Nature, in the grand scheme of things, the things that we're worrying about and stressing about are small and will
Yeah.
pass and they're transient. And like just seeing how the coast here or the mountains or any of it changes, you realize it's like a moment in time. And that's
Mm.
been really powerful for me. And I'll be on a walk and I'll be really hyper focused on something and stressing about it. And then it's like, but it's going to pass. And I think what's really interesting, we were having a chat the other day about clients, and we say that people get in a real pickle with their health and even like their eating habits and exercise when they feel trapped in a situation, don't they?
Mm.
And can't see a way out.
Yeah.
And actually, what you're doing often is the mind is almost like zooming in, going, there's no way out, there's no way out, there's no
Yeah.
way out. This is forever giving you worst case scenario. And then you can, when you're actually around other people and in different places, you get new insights, new perspectives, and it's really helped me. And the people that I've walked with here are all different. They come from different walks of life, different countries. So even that's been amazing. You forget that
Is
we have
it
a very rigid, sometimes way of life because we're from the UK and then you spend a lot of time with your parents and this is their way and it becomes our way. Do you know what I mean? So it's
mm.
just, yes, just questioning everything has been really, really helpful, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's a big
And
detour from walking,
no, no,
walking retreat, sorry.
but it's not in a way because like we often talk about like you just said there, like people kind of like start to feel trapped in almost like a false reality. And I say false reality
Yeah.
because like
Mm.
oftentimes like we create these stories around what's going on in our lives. And that's not me saying people aren't going through shit, people aren't, like don't have struggles and things like that. I know they absolutely do. But I think something that we've learned a lot over the years and something we try our very best to share with our clients and their circumstances is like just please just take a moment to just breathe and think a little bit more solution based. Don't get caught up in the panic, the worry, the stress and box yourself in. And I know that might sound a bit woo-woo, but like we do it,
No, that
don't
doesn't
we?
sound weird
Like,
at all.
yeah, but just breathe, just breathe.
Oh, I see. Yeah. No, no,
Um,
it doesn't. It
no,
isn't.
but what I was gonna say is like we do it. Like sometimes we get caught up in a story with like whatever shit's going on, and luckily, like because we've become a bit more aware of it ourselves, we can stop each other and go just pause for a moment. Just like you're what's it? You're snowballing. You're just like and then this and then there was that and then that happened and it's like whoa, just stop, breathe. Like don't go there.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't
yeah.
go there and give yourself a chance to think about this in a more calm and solution based way. Is the best way to describe it. There is a word that I can't think of, but
It'll come to
it'll
you.
come to me.
I think all of our projects at the moment, including our retreats and our programs that we're running, and we've actually just relaunched our 12-month program, is kind of off the back of our own experience and our own journey, and also that of our clients. But for me, I know that when I tried all of these things to try and fix my chronic symptoms that just seemed to be like snowballing into different parts of my body, different systems, is that you start to realize that you've got stuck in a situation of the stress. You were triggered into illness for sure, with like a lot of stressful things compounding and happening all at once.
Mm.
Then you kind of looked ahead and went, I'm screwed because the future can only have more of this. Especially for me, I was kind of in the middle of both parents having cancer, and then I was just like, I don't know how where this ends. Like it's been so busy, and then it just seems to be one thing after another, and I just
Mm.
couldn't cope. And that is when I started to develop these tiny symptoms that just grew and grew and grew because I carried on trying to, basically be superhuman and fix everything and carry on working. And when I tried all the diets, all the medications, all that stuff, and eventually was like, okay, this is a nervous system problem now. So my nervous system is now just on high alert. And I thought, well, I'll do the breath work, I'll do the psychedelics. And I've done a couple of different psychedelics now, like psilocybin, San Pedro, and they offered insights, but they almost offered insights that the solution is like a thinking a different way and
Mm.
being a different way and not being so vulnerable to kind of like what people think of you, but also sorting everybody out and constantly trying to show up and be so busy. And I had some really difficult like psychedelic experiences because it made me walk through my worst nightmares. So it was like, okay, that trap like feeling.
Mm.
And I think when it kindly hit home that I'm not going to solve this in a 24-hour psychedelic ceremony or a little bit of breath work or moving to the West Coast even, do you know what I mean? And dunking in the cold sea, like all these things, this biohacking stuff that we do. My second thought was like, I think I'm going to need a personality transplant because I just can't
Mm.
calm down. Do you know what I mean? I can't stop rushing. I can't stop feeling responsible for people, or I can't stop that desire to help. And it was only when I started to work with someone who showed me a lot of the whys and how to understand the mind and how to understand how the mind interprets the reality and then creates a really strong program that I realized actually this is changeable and fixable. And when you get there, you'll be able to deal with all the things life's going to throw at you because I know I've got like big things to happen to me. I haven't lost my parents or, siblings or anything. I know there's big things that could happen to me. So I think once you get into a state of anxiety and then you've got your symptoms that you're anxious about
Mm.
and where they're going to go, everything becomes like so big that you do feel trapped and you do.
Yeah.
And then that's when I think it just makes more symptoms and then, you feel like you can't cope and you throw all your medication and supplement at it and it won't do anything. And I think we've started to look at more kind of like experiences for people and long-term coaching packages. And even with the programs we're currently running on weight loss, we're just mainly focusing on mindset, aren't we? That's not hanging off your chin. Because
Huh.
I think people feel like guilty that they can't stop comfort eating or emotional eating or they can't get to the gym. But actually, all of this can change if we kind of go like it is top down. And
It is top down. And but even as you were speaking then, it's like, and this ties into the big one of the big whys behind our 12-month transformation. It's like to do work on a deeper level, to start from the top down, it takes time. And I think something that we see over and over again, and we've done it, many a time, like you read an inspirational book, you listen to a podcast that really resonates with you, and you're like, that's amazing advice. I can relate to that massively. But then where's the integration? It's like loads of people we can read the books, we can listen to the podcast, we can see all these amazing motivational quotes on social media. But
you could go on a silent retreat or a yoga
yeah,
retreat
you
and
could
feel
like
chilled as for 5 days.
exactly like who that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
easy bit, but it's actually when you get back and going like, right, I need to integrate this now into my life based on where I'm at right now and my circumstances. And that's the tricky bit because there is no one size fits all. Everyone's circumstances are different, whether it's because you've got kids, whether it's because you've got an illness or you've got a really high stress job, all of the above maybe. Like we've all got different things going on. And I think that's the key. It's being able to really acknowledge where you're at and then go on a like really consciously say, I'm going to take this and that because I found that really, really helpful. And now I'm going to integrate that into my life on my terms rather than this whole all or nothing, 100 mile an hour. I need to do this complete lifestyle overhaul that just isn't realistic because of whatever the hell's going on. So that's a big part of like the why behind our 12-month transformation because not only does it allow you to get a better understanding of why you do what you do, the decisions that you make, but it gives you that opportunity to integrate it in a way that doesn't feel rushed. You're not on some like 4 week, 8 week like turbo plan where you're like, oh, I need to get this done in a couple of months. Do you
Yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Because that's the time frame. And as much as like, well, we've run 21-day plans, 1 month, 8 month, 12 week, like we've done them all over the years and they still work 100%,
Yeah, yeah.
but they work for a certain type of person.
And also I think it's all about the, you
Not
know,
type of person, more like where so
yeah.
where people are at, if you know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean.
So I'll quote Tommy. I saw him on Andy Galpin's podcast and he was talking about
Very would.
the brain. Yeah. And he was saying set and setting is everything. And I really like that because he was talking about, I think when it comes to like losing weight or getting healthy, like under certain conditions, we can all do it, like no one's questioning that. But when life starts to like really shake things up, that's when you're really challenged. And even if your body starts to shake things up, so there's joint pain, there's injuries, there's illness, there's, hormone problems, depression, low mood, motivation. This is when it gets so challenging. And this is when we can't rely on, we can't have conditions in place anymore. We've got to be, like you said, like, so much more adaptable. But also, I think one of the most powerful things that has happened to me in the last year, working with someone who's taught me about the mind and the ego and the programs that we run and, the conditioning elements of what stress does to us, from kind of like childhood to adulthood is alleviate me from a lot of guilt around my desire to like work really hard, stay really busy, but then find myself like comfort eating, then having to comfort exercise, trying to get like, okay, I've just really overdone the snacking today. I should like, go out for like a big hike or something, So you can find yourselves in these cycles of you're doing these behaviors and you don't know why, but at the
Mm.
end of the day, most of it is avoidance of, like your fear or anger or, resentment of a situation, sadness. We might be doing this because we've got grief that we've never felt. So it's all to avoid something. And I think when it comes to the weight loss side of things, it's really similar to like the kind of mind body healing community that I've been following for like the last year. And it's the first time I've made progress with my symptoms. And in the mind body healing world, there's lots of methods where they use like hypnotherapy or NLP. So
Mhm.
you get a symptom and you go like, stop, ignore it, it's fine, it'll go away, which works for a lot of people. But of course, if there's an underlying cause, like you're married to the wrong person or, absolutely fearful of your future financially, career-wise, or you're lonely and disconnected, or not processing a lot of stuff that's happened to you in the past, then the symptoms will come back. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's something in our body emotionally that has not been observed and brought to the surface. And our body's not kind of keen on that. Emotions are, I said this before, are energetic. So they would make us fight, flight, freeze, fawn, do something. So they're kind of
Hmm.
buzzing around the body and they'll end up contracting muscles, affecting your immune system, raising your inflammation. They're trying to do stuff. So we can do all the kind of breath work and dancing we like and all that stuff, cold water dunking, but we're just overriding. Do you see what I mean? We're just trying to calm a system down
Mm.
that's actually saying you need to get braver at feeling shit. Like and I mean shit as in I feel like shit. And you need to get braver at going through shit situations and just going, I've got to feel it. I can't drink it away, eat it away, run it away, like do
Mm.
all of these things. And so the kind of braver route for me was like, okay, I could probably do all this hypnotherapy stuff, stop, 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 and these symptoms will go. Or I can use this as an opportunity to grow and like look at what I'm scared about in the future, look at my vulnerability, around work and around caring for people and looking after family, friends, like being a fixer, a rescuer all the time. Like that has come from it was a protective thing that I put in place as a child because it secured safety for me in relationships. It gave me a place and a role. So it served me and it's just built and built and built unsustainably. And now it's really good to kind of practice, right? Well, I don't need that program anymore. I can delete that program in my mind.
Yeah.
But the way that you do it, this is why I said it takes a long time. It takes like, it will take a year or more, is because you have to use life situations to train yourself again. So I have to sit there some days where I'm tired and maybe my stomach's acting up. And then someone's like, Keris, I need you. And I have to be really strong at going, I can't. Like,
Mm.
and then I have to sit with the horrible feeling of letting someone down and just, allow that to be there and then go and do my whatever it might be, yoga nidra, whatever my body needed at that time, because it all comes back to this thing of like, put your gas mask on for, you're no good to anybody. And we have lots of clients like this where we say, it's amazing how you show up, but at some point you may not be able to because your body will call time on the excessiveness of it all. And I think this is where mindset work becomes really powerful, because it's almost like everyone's just giving themselves so much grief, or saying, lots of clients say to us, I don't even know who I've become. I'm not motivated anymore. I can't get to the gym. Like, how did this happen? And then we ask what's going on in life. And then it's so obvious, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
so much difficult stress, difficult situations, but we've also lost, think about it right now, like in tribes, like elders or grandparents, great grandparents will be teaching us how to deal with these situations because they dealt with these situations. And I think we've lost that a little bit because of technology. There's been this big disconnect between our parents' generation. They don't really understand what we're battling right now. We're looking at them going, all of you could eat better and stop relying on medication so much. I mean, everyone's judging, every generation is judging everybody, and every
Yeah.
generation thinks they're doing it better. But every generation is different because of technology. And we're probably one of the first who had half their life off it, half on it, didn't we?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We often talk about that, don't we? Thinking
yeah,
like, because
nostalgia.
yeah, like, and it's a tough one because, it's like it's here at the end of the day. And it's here to stay, and it's going to get more and more advanced. And it's one of those things of like, do you choose to embrace it or resist against it? And I think again, it comes down to a bit of acceptance, doesn't it? It's like with AI. I was always like, oh God, I don't know how I feel about this. But then there's a part of me that's like, well, I've got to accept it because it's here, you
But
know?
I think this is where like practicing mindfulness and consciousness is really powerful, because if you don't, we're all so prone and vulnerable to addiction. We're all dopamine junkies, and we've got dopamine in our pocket. And you'll be on that thing 24/7. And it's interesting because I'm listening to quite some YouTubers now say that they've deleted YouTube off their phone so that they only go on YouTube, at certain times of the day, and they're trying to
Mm.
stay offline a lot more. And again, I think if you're not doing this, then do understand that social media dictates your entire world, because it's everything you see that day. And the really sad thing about it is, if you're living on social media and scrolling constantly, you are missing out on life. You're not seeing beautiful interactions between people, which I often try and stop here and get off my phone and like watch the villagers like all talking and stuff. You're not seeing
Yeah.
life happen. You're not watching the sunrise, sunset, not listening to the dawn chorus, like the amount of time we're head down.
Yeah.
And but also understand that that is completely dictating your physiology, because it's saying, are you running from a lion? Are you getting ready to fight? Are you fawning? Are you freezing? Because here's a load of stuff that's happening in the world right now that's going to trigger an emotion in you.
Well, it's funny because, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it doesn't happen that often because I've got a lot better at it. But like, I don't go on like social media like just before bed or anything like that. But every now and again, it slips, and I do, and I'm
Yeah,
just kind of like I'd be lying in bed, mindlessly scrolling, and in my mind, I'll be conscious of it, and I'll go, "Oh, it's harmless, you're just having a little browse, seeing what's going on." But then, of course, I'll see something that triggers me, whether it's like something that reminds me of something that I didn't do, and then, oh shit, I didn't do that thing, and then your brain starts going,
yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? And it's like it's just not good. It's just not good. And as I say, I'm so much better at it because I'm consciously like trying to spend less time on my phone, especially of an evening. But
But
as I,
it's also like we had a chat this week about ADHD, ADD, and like loads of people are questioning the kind of increase in diagnosis. I do think it's a scale, a spectrum, and it's like, but all of us now have some degree of it, and we've seen our parents like slip into it as soon as they got phones, didn't they? And it's
yeah.
because we're multitasking so much across the day that we can't even listen to a song to the end now, because there's just so much opportunity to change the input. And this is where, again, if you don't start to develop some awareness and consciousness, even if you are in bed going, what am I doing? You've gone up one rung of the ladder. No, but
Yeah.
it's a good thing. Do you know what I mean? You've gone up one rung, because most people are trance. You're like in an
Oh yeah,
absolute
yeah.
trance. They can't even see it. They're getting run over by cars because they're on the phone. Like we see it, don't
Oh
we?
yeah.
The number of accidents you see happen because people are on in the car on their phone.
Oh, that drives me
Actually
mad.
saw a motorbike rider yesterday, and it is a beach track, admittedly, so it's not a super busy road. On his phone, riding his motorbike, texting on the
Oh,
motorbike, and it's just like,
it bugs me.
can we not wait? That I also know his journey. He's a waiter and he works on one of the beach restaurants. And I'm like, your
Well,
journey is less than another 5 minutes, and you're texting on the journey. It just, I don't know.
yeah, that really winds me up. Anyone who does that, because yeah, just
But
it's just not worth it. But also, like, have you seen that video? There was that girl that got done for basically just on her phone, uh, with a chatting with a friend and like going along far too fast as well. Hadn't clocked the traffic lights and went across like a crossroads and just like absolutely annihilated another car and like killed the person.
oh God.
All because they're just on their bloody phone. And you're just like, God, it's like, yeah, it's just this big distraction around us all the time, like demanding our attention. And it's on us essentially to go, well, I'm not going to give that my attention right now because I'm focused on this or I'm focused on that. And
Yeah. More like, because I often say, when do you train attention? When are you monotasking? When are you actually listening? And like when I do a meditation class, and she always says the goal is not to quieten the mind, the goal is to observe the mind and be above it.
mm,
And it's really helpful because when you're trying to quieten the mind, she said, like it will just come back stronger. You'll just come out the meditation either super frustrated that you couldn't, or you'll have a big bounce back of zillions of thoughts.
yeah,
So the key is keep like rising above and just seeing all of your thoughts come and go, and then not reacting to them, staying neutral to everything, neutral to any feelings that come up in your body, as in like, oh, chest pain, oh, stomach's gurgling, just neutral. It's really hard. It's like training, and she says it's like training your prefrontal cortex. That's what we're doing. But I think just across life, we're all saying we have too much to do, but then I think this is something that we're also creating by our use of smartphone, our time on smartphone, and then putting pressure on ourselves to constantly reply within a certain time,
mm,
WhatsApp, all these sorts of things. And again, this comes back to creating stories about what people think of us. So I'm always conscious if I don't reply, I look really rude. But if I was to reply, all the time, you'd never be off the damn
yeah.
thing, it's like, because everybody,
Huh.
we were saying yesterday, we finished work and sat down after the dog walk, didn't we? And it was like ding, 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 ding. It's like everyone's home. So everybody's like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
and then obviously we've moved country. So you've got friends in the UK, friends here, but it's also everyone lands on the sofa and starts like making plans or like
yeah,
wanting to know things. And I was just like, and it only takes like a situation like we basically tried to drive back to the UK, didn't we? Last week, and our
yeah.
car broke down. So you've got another level of logistics with a breakdown company, a car mechanic, and the guy who sold us the car, like constantly texting you. You've already had, like 3 times, as in, or new 3 people are dropping into your phone and literally contacting you every day. Do you see what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
So you could almost say like you've tripled your to-do list already, but have you scaled back in any way and taken anything off? No. Do you know what I mean?
No, no.
So it's like we're not very good at like managing that side of it.
Honest, it is like, it is tough and it does come down to like having an element of discipline, doesn't it? And boundaries around these kind of things and going, like, okay, this is my time, but this is my time slot to respond to WhatsApp messages or emails or whatever it might be. Easier said than done, but on paper also very simple. And and
Yes.
and we're not perfect, by the way. Like bloody well, far from it, especially me. Like even today, for example, we were in a coffee shop working, and then I went onto Facebook specifically to respond to a question in our to respond to a post in our Fitter 365 group. But then, so that was my intention. But then, of course, I went on Facebook and then I saw a picture of a camper van that was for sale. And then I'm going through that and then I'm sending that to Keris's dad to get his opinion on it. And he's sending me current camper vans back. Next thing you know, I'm like deep in this camper van,
Yeah.
like shopping um, thing. And I'm like, oh, and I still haven't responded to that post in 365. And,
But we also had
but,
another moment
but
where
it took Keris to go, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I'm looking at camper vans. She's like, well, why? Like, well, haven't you got stuff to do? And I'm like, you're absolutely right. Yes, I
So,
do.
so like your prime time, like the morning when you're
Yeah,
probably most focused. But the
it's
best
so
bit
easily
was,
done.
as we're talking about this, you fire up WhatsApp and start reading a message from me that I'd sent earlier that morning. And I'm like,
And you're sat
"Kat,"
next to me.
I said, I'm talking to you and you're looking at a message from me on WhatsApp. Will you just bloody look up? It's hard. It's just hard, yeah. I do think it's one of those things where it's first of all become an observer of what you're doing and then setting a little plan in place of like, okay, what about if phone goes off here, phone goes off here, and actually talk as a household about it. And we don't have kids, so I know there'd be probably a revolution if you even suggested it, but can you start to say like, no phones at table, no phones after this time, like let's start to do a challenge, like how can we focus, because people are losing. The other thing is, with the amount of information coming in, we're all speeding up everything. We're speeding up how fast we talk, how fast we perform tasks. Do you see what I mean? Because we've
Mm.
taken on too much stuff. So we're getting faster at everything. It's like you were talking about the driving before. People are driving faster, driving more erratically, charging around the shops rudely, butting into queues. Like it's making people rush and rushing in a way that's not safe, like it's rude, and it's like it's creating more
Well,
dangers in life.
when
And
you think about it, like there's a very small number of things that are worth rushing for,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right? Don't get me wrong, like if someone's in danger or like heaven forbid, like someone's in hospital
yeah,
and
yeah.
or you need to get someone to a hospital or something like that. Like beyond that, it's like just chill the fuck out and just stop rushing because it's not worth it. Because oftentimes, like we've had this, haven't we? We're like, why are you rushing right now,
Well, you
really?
you do
Like,
it really well with me because again, I've created a story about deadlines and mini deadlines
yeah,
and time and the importance of time. And I get in that story and then I'm in it. Do you see what I mean? And then you'll kind of and then I start getting a shouty because I'm
okay.
like, everyone's ruining my time scale here that I was really. And sometimes it's hard because we need a degree of organization
Yeah,
as
yeah,
we all
for
fall to
sure.
pieces and our day goes. And for
There's a
me,
balance.
the drive is the sooner we finish, the sooner we do it, the sooner we finish,
Yeah.
like we're self-employed. So,
Just give her a kick in the shin every now and again. So,
but
I
this morning,
behave yourself.
what's kind of funny is I had a chat with, I haven't told you about this, a woman in our kettlebell class afterwards, and I was just telling her, the car broke down, so now Matt and I are sharing a car. So I said, now we basically are sharing my car. We are working together. We are living together. We are engaged. And I was like, do you know how? And she goes, you must be fighting like mad. And it made me laugh. We're not fighting like mad.
No.
But this morning, when I was like, I'm going to be out the door by 5:30 to walk the dog, and then you're at 20, I don't know, 22 minutes past 6, you're like, I'm going for a poo. And I'm like, oh, that's it. Like,
I can't,
we're
I
just,
can't
we're
time,
behind schedule already.
can't time these things.
And it was really interesting because she said the same thing. She was like, where it all goes to pot is when they head into that toilet. It's just
It's that
like it's
temple.
game over.
It's that
And
temple.
she paces outside and she's like, what are you doing in there? What are you doing? And they fall out all the time. She's like, couples need separate cars. I'm a big believer of that. I mean,
Oh, to be
I know
fair,
that's
like,
a privilege, but I can see like you do end up falling out because you're like,
well, especially to be fair, like where we are, like I
I
don't,
know where the
we
sticks.
are in the,
Yeah.
yeah, we're literally in the stick. So it's not like it's, well, basically, well, the shops are within walking distance, but it's not a short walk.
No,
You know
no.
what I mean? It would be a bit of an inconvenience for the other person. Um, but where was I going with this? Yeah, like I just think like we all could do with slowing down a little bit and not being so frantic
But I
in
do, I
in
do
our
think
day
this
to
was
day.
more women than men. And we had this, and then we met
Oh
other
yeah,
friends on Sunday, and we had the same discussion where the women just seem to be getting faster and faster, and the men I think are hiding in the toilets. I think
yeah.
I think they're in there for a
You've
reason.
you've you've you've
But
sussed us.
they said the same. He said the same thing. Our friend on Sunday, didn't he? He was like, "I go in there with my phone. It's my chill time. It's my
It's great.
break. It's
It's
like,
great.
yeah." I was watching an interview.
When we go to Keris, when we were in the UK and we go to Keris's mum and dad's
Oh God,
place.
you go for hours.
Yeah, but the best thing is they've got one, two, three, four toilets in their house, and I'll often go to the one on the very top floor.
Takes us about an hour
So
to
it's
find you.
like,
Where's
yeah,
he gone?
no one knows where I am. It's like, well, we couldn't possibly go to the to the attic room to use the loo. It's like, yes, yes, I would. And I'll keep the lights off as well, so no one knows I'm in there. Where's Matt? No idea.
And then it's funny actually because Mum rang me the other day. She goes, "We've got a problem with some flies in the attic." I'm like, "Yeah, that's Matt's. That's good for
Yeah.
Matt dropping stinkers."
It's Matt with the floater again.
I'll tell you this story. This made me laugh. I was following a podcast of comedians as like my time out. I'm trying not to listen to too many lectures now on my walks. And one of the guys was saying that they were talking about technology and the difference between their kids' generation. And he said he's still got his like I think he said iPod. He said every now and then I get it out and listen to the songs that I used to listen to, and it's mad. It's like a little trip down memory lane.
Mm.
But he's also got his first camera phone, and he said what's amazing about it is you see the human being that you were, like decades ago. He said the first picture on there he took was basically the biggest poo he'd done in his life, and he took a photo. He sent it to all of his friends.
To be fair though,
Have you
like
have you done the
if I
same?
didn't have abnormally large poo, I think
Yeah.
I'd be like, I need to get a picture of this. This
Yeah.
is I've never seen anything like that in my life.
But then he said I had to put the tissue in because I didn't want people to think I was on my phone having not washed my hands and like done all the hygiene bits. So,
Oh, how funny. How funny.
but yeah, and he said he sometimes just fires up that photo for a laugh. But
That's hilarious. I did.
a proud poo.
It reminds me of like, when you see some of the photos and the posts that come up on like Facebook memories.
Oh God, yeah,
Oh yeah, your
cringe.
post from 12 years ago. You're like, really?
Oh
I
no,
said I spoke like
oh
that? Like
no.
what was going on
As if
then?
anyone
But
wanted to know what you were doing. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
Because it was, do you remember the original status update was Keris is,
Keris is, yeah.
and then you'd put something really mysterious.
Yes, it was all just random.
Yeah.
Just random bullshit.
So,
That's what I still do today.
yeah.
It's just with better quality photos.
Yeah.
It's not pixelated anymore.
We've gone off track,
Yeah,
sorry.
but
Talking about taking.
hey, look, that's what it's all about. It's all about them tangents. But yeah, but I think, it's something that it takes again, it goes back to time. Again, you could listen to this podcast and go, oh, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, I definitely need to slow down a little bit more. And then of course you finish listening to this and then you're back to your reality and you're just back in it again. And then next thing you know, you're in those cycles. And I think,
But remember that, like I said, this is really powerful because I have to repeat this. The first rung of the ladder is seeing what you're doing first and
mm,
not creating the story of this will be me for the rest of my life, or this is because and then putting in a negative adjective, like in
yeah,
terms of the way that you describe yourself. Because I think we often turn to like, I should be better than this. I'm weak, or I'm greedy, I'm lazy. We call ourselves all these things. And
mm,
I think for me, when I started to try and do all of these different diets to solve like I had so many kind of histamine issues and stuff in the end. So I was like trying low histamine, then I was trying acid watches, which is like don't go over pH of 5, and I started to notice that I would almost sink into like a depression
mm,
at the thought of staying on these diets forever, or like just that the hardship of it all. And then the next thing you know, I'd be doing the exact opposite, like literally going on acid watches, just sat there eating dark chocolate, reading a
yeah,
book. Do you know what I mean? Eating the most acidic thing in the book. I was like, what's gone wrong here? And I think it's been an amazing experience for me
mm,
because it's like, how could I be so disciplined and then so all over the shop? And it all came back to like, okay, there's nothing to do with like willpower, just being weak-willed or anything like that. Like there's an emotional component here that needs to be like firstly observed, secondly understood, and
mm,
then you can start to make changes. And as much as I have elements like this morning where I'm like, I'm supposed to be out the door by half
yeah,
6. In my defense, there's a lot more, like I'm very good at now kind of backing out of situations, doing my yoga nidras, doing my meditations, but also in life, just going, right, click your finger, like slow down. We'll be having a cup of tea and a cake in the bakery on a Sunday. And normally I'm like, we need to get back because I've got to do the gardening before I get the dinner on. And
yeah,
whereas now I'm like, no, just sit and watch the world go by for a
yeah.
bit. Like, and
Watch and
what happens if you don't, you know?
Watch me order another cake.
Yeah. Watch Matt get
Yeah,
diabetes.
yeah.
But like a powerful question I ask, and I often say it to all our groups, is what if you didn't?
Mm,
What if you didn't? Because my thing is always, I need to, I should do, I'm, you know,
mm.
and again, these are really powerful things or powerful programs that I ran because they were really beneficial and protective.
But also as well, like,
So you're actually a strong human. Do you see what I mean? But you can
yeah.
getting rid of them is also it takes a lot of strength and
But a couple of things
practice.
like come up there for me, and that's in these situations, like because Keris can be an absolute pain in the ass sometimes when it comes to time, and it's like I said today I was going to be out the house at this time, and I was going to be doing this by this time, and it's
I
like,
don't know who I said that to,
yeah,
by the way. It's
but
she.
but but it's like, yeah, but you didn't, you weren't, and you're not,
Yeah, yeah,
so chill out. Get over it.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's done. So the two things here are like number one, and we talk about this a lot, it's like the power to adapt. You just got to adapt. You know what I mean? And secondly is take ownership. Because oftentimes, like we have all these intentions, but there's a reason why it didn't happen. And 99.9%, of the time it's because like we didn't get up early enough. And that was because we didn't go to bed early enough, or the knock-on effect could have been we drank too much coffee. Like you can go on and on and on. So it's like, well, just take ownership and go, well, this didn't happen because I didn't get my ass up out of bed when my alarm went off. I snoozed it 3 times. And then blah, blah, blah. It's like, but just take ownership of it. It is what it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
And then kind of just adapt in accordance. And something that I wanted to touch on before we do wrap up is like, we talk about people like doing things for other people all the time. Like we're always serving others' needs, which to a degree is lovely. It means you're a very selfless person. You're looking out for your family, you're looking out for your friends, and you want to help them out. However, this is something we actually touched on with those in our Strong Humans project plan, and a lot of people really resonated with it because, on the one hand, it's a bit of a harsh truth, but on the other hand, it's like, people are aware of it enough to go, you know what, you're right. Because when we are constantly going out of our way to look out for other people, put their needs before ours, it's often a form of procrastination because people want to avoid going inward
Oh yeah,
and,
yeah,
and doing the
definitely.
work on themselves
Yeah,
because it's hard, because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
difficult and it's uncomfortable. And it's that classic avoidance. And again, this ties in with distraction. Well, oh, like how can I distract myself? Whether it's you're on your phone, whether you find something to do for
Yeah, yeah.
someone else. Oh, well, I couldn't do it today because so and so needed me. I had to do this before this time, or I got caught up doing blah. Things that we can justify needed to be done, but actually, if we have a really honest chat with ourselves, it's like, well, could it have waited? Yeah, probably. And, could you have invested that time in doing some work on you? Yes, but you didn't because there was an alternative option that meant it kind of gives you the kind of, oh, well, I can do that tomorrow.
Do you know what? It's really interesting you say that because I think there's a big avoidance of like stillness. And when I say stillness, I don't mean a breathwork session, a meditation, I mean actually sitting and, as I said, then just observing your thought, observing your body. Like when you sit down, there was one day, so after our car breakdown, our kind of whole like weekend plans just went all over the place. I ended up kind of meeting some friends and hiking, but I think I just did too much. And when I actually kind of landed, I think it was like Sunday night, and just I said to you, I'm just going to go and do a nidra, and I basically just fell asleep.
Fell asleep.
But when I actually lay down, I remember feeling like my entire body was like fizzing because I'd just been like, duh, 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 duh. And I remember thinking, now it's like you could feel your body trying to recalibrate. And I think again, when you're kind of you've got symptoms and you're doing mind body work, you become more sensitive to symptoms, but you're trying to understand them as a sensation, not a kind of, oh, this means this. But I couldn't believe it. I was like, my entire system is literally going like, right now we can, kind of regulate a little bit. She's finally sat still,
Regulators.
for the first time in a long time. She's not doing. And it was all good stuff, healthy stuff that we were doing. It was nice. But I think for me, and I actually fed this back to the kind of meditation group that I'm in, like I can easily just fill my day in terms of like it's, get up, dog walk, coffee, work, prep dinner,
Mm.
and it just goes and
Mm.
goes and goes. And I don't, like you just said, it's avoidance. And I know that now. And I said, I
Oh,
think yesterday I did something really unique, which was so many people have said once you've had a client, and I mean, even like plant medicine women have been telling me this, when you have a client, you must have a bit of space afterwards to go outside and just move around and
Yeah,
release because you've just taken on a lot of their troubles and their emotions and not taking them on but you've heard some difficult situations and you need to go and regulate yourself. So go and sit in a garden chair and listen to the birds or do a bit of yoga, go for a little walk. And I just struggle with it because I like to binge on work. So it's almost like client notes, client notes, done. But it's not helping me because it's
no,
almost like I jack myself up and then I can't bring myself down again. So yesterday I did this thing of like just 10 minutes listening to the
yeah.
birds. Hamish is like, it's like he's got a sensor for the minute you get on the bed. And wherever he
Oh,
is,
he hears
he
it.
hears the creak of the bed and he's headbutting the door because he can't get in.
Yeah,
And
bless him.
like he's on the bed and he's snoring next to me in like 2 minutes. And I
Oh,
was just like, right, listen to Hamish snoring,
so
listen
relaxing.
to the birds, listen, see your thoughts coming in, going, you should get up now. You've done 5 minutes. That's enough. Get up, get up, get up. Get
Can,
your work done.
um, can I just share something on that?
Sorry.
Can I just give a share? No, because it's like again, like what you were saying then, it's like it ties into that. We almost have been programmed to be like more, hustle, grind, work hard, do. And when you're self-employed, like in your mind, you're like, well, the more clients I have, the more money I earn, and I need to make money because I'm self-employed and I don't have the safety of a consistent salary,
Yeah,
etc.,
yeah, yeah.
etc.
And no one feels safe with AI and everything now,
Yeah,
do
like,
they?
this is the kind of like the story you keep like telling yourself.
Yeah.
But it's like, but how effective is that not only for you, but for the clients that you're serving, you're helping? And I always remember years ago when I was a PT and I was just out and out self-employed PT, and I was like, I just want as many clients as possible. I want to like, I want a jam-packed diary, blah blah blah. That's what I strived for because for me that was like that means I'm successful if I have lots of clients and I get good results with them and they tell more people and so on and so on and so on. And on paper that's great, but at what cost? Because when I did start to achieve that and my diary was absolutely ramo, it meant A, I didn't have time for myself to train. So my training took a back seat. It was a basement gym as well, so I wasn't exposing myself to daylight and was feeling pretty crap. And it was having a knock-on effect to my clients because I'd be running back to back, like one after the other, bish bash bosh. But I always used to often wear it as a badge of honor and go back to back for 10 or 12 clients today. And all the other PTs would be like, "Whoa, my God, bloody hell, you're an animal," and this, that, and the other. And so there was a bit of ego there, and almost like, "Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm Ramo."
Status.
But then actually, you get halfway through your day, and you're like, "I'm fucking knackered. I feel like shit." And I remember one of my clients saying to me, Matt, he was like, "Look," he says, I love you to bits." He says, "But I've seen a dip in the quality of our sessions."
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
he said, not you as a coach per se, but like, like because you're so busy now, like I got into really bad habits. Like I'd be like, "Oh, do you
Yeah.
mind if I just
Eating. Yeah,
eat a
yeah.
sandwich like whilst we're training?" And a lot of clients would go, "Yeah, that's fine, Matt." But the reality is they'd rather you didn't. You're there to train them.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
in my mind, I was like, but they'll understand. I'm really busy and this, that, and the other. But I was really pleased he had this honest chat with me. And he said, look, he said, I still want to continue training with you. I love our sessions, but I'm just saying it as like, a client and a friend. And he said, my advice to you is give yourself a little break between every client,
yeah.
even
Yeah.
just 10 minutes. And it's an opportunity for you to go to the loo, have a little bite to eat, go outside, get some fresh
Yeah, yeah.
air. And I was like, do you know what? He's absolutely right. And I thought, well, it's no big deal. It's 10 minutes. So I started to do that. Like I could do a couple of people back to back, but then I'd give myself like 10 or 15 minutes. And it meant that A, I felt better, B, my clients got the best of me, and C, it's like that is a healthy way to
Yeah, yeah,
structure
yeah.
your day.
That's what we should all be doing. Because I
Yeah.
think since lockdown. I had a chat with a client yesterday and she's like, I love it. I've got 2 hours back. But then I was like, but between your 9 till 6, do you actually leave the house that much? No. Do you know what I mean? So it's great in terms of since lockdown, she's like, I can go to the gym before work, is what she said.
Mm.
And I walk after work. But I'm still not sure that we should do 9 till 6 in one room with a quick break in the kitchen, back to that one room,
Mm.
you know, maybe a quick lap with the dog. I think we should be feeding back. And this is one of the conversations that we had was about boundaries. And she was like, I'm getting better. I'm blocking out a lunch hour. I want to have some better boundaries. And her job's one of those that's really like it's very admirable what she does. So she gets a lot of praise and feedback for it.
Yeah.
But it's against the way she works could be at odds with her health goals that she wants to achieve. And so what I said is like it's not just about boundaries, it's about when someone is like, oh, you've really let us down right now. Like your client said it, but in a different way. But if a
Mm.
boss says it and you were already overworking and overstretching, it's about you standing there and
That's
taking
that's
that.
a that's a shin kick. Ooh.
Stop it. Stop promoting violence. Gonna hear reports next week. I tried out Matt shin kick
Yeah.
on my boss.
Yeah.
It didn't go down well.
I'm now unemployed,
Yeah.
but
No,
much happier.
I was gonna say, yeah, but now I've got all the time in the world to do a yoga nidra. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Um, but I think there's just it's more about I know in the roles I had, I look back and go, why didn't I just speak up and say, this is what I'm doing? In fact, we've just had a friend at the weekend who's just taken on a brand new job who she actually did burn out, didn't she?
Mm.
And ended up like having to have loads of time off. And she just got her a kind of new role working for someone else. And they slammed her on her first day with way too much to do and hardly any instruction. And she said she went back and was like, okay, I want more guidance and training on this. By the way, I've already booked off these holidays. These will be my hours. I'm not doing this. And that's an unrealistic expectation in my first week. And they said, fine.
Okay.
And I know
Yeah.
not everybody else, not every company will do that, but then that's only highlighting probably a conflict of the situation and something to keep an eye on. And I know that not everybody can have the luxury of like, well, I'm going to walk out the job, but you can start changing your perception of it and certainly don't let it define you and
Mm.
like become part of your, belief about yourself or anything. So I think it is getting really comfortable with rejection, criticism, that that kind of thing of letting people down, and but knowing like, oh, I do a good
Yeah.
job, I'm a good person, I'm a great human, whatever. Like you should have that confidence first.
Mm.
And what I see is a lot of people are already like stellar human beings at home, so the fact they're even at work is a bonus. Do you know what I mean? And I don't try and be absolutely everything to everyone. It's just impossible.
No, and again, it's like, I think probably like the boundaries thing is one of the most difficult things that people like for people to put in place because it's like
If they
that.
find your like weak spot, they
Yeah,
and that could be, I bet kids are getting
I was
pros
just,
at this.
but that's the thing. Like
Yeah,
boundaries apply to everything. It's not
yeah,
just
yeah.
work. It's your partner, it's your children, it's your friends.
Your
It's
parents,
but even with yourself, like being able to put a boundary in place for you and go, no, no, like
Yeah, yeah,
don't do that because it always starts with you. It's like it
yeah,
needs to be you going, no, I'm not going to do that. I need to protect that time and I need to protect my energy there. And I think a lot of times as well, it comes down to like we seek validation in those areas. So as much as we might be like, I'm working too much, I've been working through my lunch break for the last God knows how many weeks, but um I get validation for it because everyone thinks I'm amazing and everyone keeps giving me this pat on the back and I've got this reputation as being a grafter and someone who always comes through. And that's great, but it's like, but you can have that as well and still have a lunch break and still finish work on time.
yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? And I think that's the problem. We get into these cycles with it. And
yeah, yeah.
like we all do
But also,
it to a
it's
degree.
just to bring it back. This is going to be my last
Bring
point.
it back.
They like it. We like have, like you said, we've created the narrative, and it becomes so strong that it becomes a program, and we forget that just like you can delete an app on your phone, you can delete a program. And I think when it comes to the kind of your beliefs about, just to kind of give you examples, sometimes I'll be like, for example, when we were going to see my parents, and when it all fell through, when the car broke down, I was like, I should fly out. And then I looked, the flights were super expensive and it was just getting more and more complicated to do it. And you were like, just leave it. But then a part of my brain, and this is where your kind of ego kicks in, says, what if something happened to your parents? You'll never forgive yourself that you didn't make it back on that journey. And
Yeah.
it's interesting that this is fear just kicking in. So fear is trying to make you, basically, um, be very distracted in that story. But I just want to share, I'm reading Ellen Langer's Mindful Body. It's an amazing book. She's a lecturer in kind of mindfulness and how it affects your health. And she was saying that when anything terrible has happened to her, you convince yourself it's the worst thing ever and that there's more terrible things to come. So for her, her house burnt down when she was away and her dog was with a neighbor. So she said, first I had this mad panic, my house is burnt down. And my first thought was the dog. And it turned out the dog had been saved, the dog was fine. So she had immense relief. But then this whole thing of like, I've lost everything. And I'm a lecturer, and all my lecture notes are in that house. So I'm not going to be able to lecture this semester because I haven't got time to rewrite a year's worth of lecture notes. So she started to catastrophize hugely about the whole thing. And then
Yeah.
she somehow kind of, in her wisdom, decided, what if I just turn up to my first lecture and do it fresh? And all the students fed back, one of the best lectures they'd ever been to, amazing job,
Oh,
couldn't get enough of it, looking forward to the rest of it. And she started freestyle the rest of the semester. She then had Christmas with no home. So they moved everyone into hotels. So she said, I was in a hotel with my dog on my own for Christmas. Had, again, no worldly possessions. They've all gone in the fire. And when she arrives on, I think it's like Christmas Eve, the kitchen porter, the receptionist, the waiting staff, the maids have all brought presents. So she has a
oh,
stack of presents from complete strangers. And she said, you know what? I thought that fire was the worst thing that ever happened to me in my life. Yeah, I don't remember or miss anything that I lost in that fire,
no.
but I remember those presents on Christmas Eve from complete strangers.
Oh,
I've remembered it every year since, and it's one of my most cherished memories of my life. So she says, when we think this is the worst thing ever, maybe you're exactly where you need to be. And this is life coming to you.
mm,
And what we can do is accept that, accept the power of like nature and the way the world works. And she said, you can't ever regret anything because how do you know that it was supposed to be any different?
yeah,
Like it's amazing if you finally embed that into your mind and go like, she's even making a decision is basically a mindful evaluation of A or B. You're never going to know. Sometimes is your decision, it doesn't work out, but B could have been a hell of a lot worse.
yeah.
But your brain convinces you that B was the one you should have gone with. And she said, for all you know, it could have been 10 times worse with B, and you
Mm.
actually took the right decision.
Well,
So
again,
that fluidity of like, I'm
yeah.
just going with it. We said it when the car broke down. I went, we're exactly where we're meant to
Well,
be. We should not be in the UK for some
you
reason.
know exactly, and like
I hope there's not like
what?
an earthquake or tsunami in the UK
No,
or
but
something
like
now.
we've stood by that for a long time,
Yeah,
haven't
yeah,
we? Like, of like because you've
yeah,
got to just trust that like it was just meant to be. You
yeah,
know, whatever it was meant to be, and you know, and we can't control these things. Obviously, we didn't intend on breaking down, but these things do happen. We didn't intend on it being a complete, you know, like the engine being completely dead and I need a replacement engine. But because the irony was the day before the big drive, I took the car for a full service, got all the oil filters changed, all of that, went to the car garage, you know, made sure like uh, the tire garage to make sure everything was in good nick and they were like, yeah, all good. So did everything possibly could to make sure that the vehicle was
yeah, yeah,
like, you know, was going to be safe enough to get us home. And of course, you know, that weren't the case. And it's just like, well, it is what it is. We're all safe. We got
yeah, yeah.
home.
We had
Was it
incredible people show up all along the way in terms of even some guys painting white lines on the road as we broke down. I just want to share this last story. I know
the road workers?
but
They were just random guys painting.
no, yeah, that's what I meant.
Just gonna paint a line here.
So
Bit of road
I just
art.
have to tell this last story, but the car went into limp mode
Playing
on the
hangman.
motorway, and then we ended up quickly Googling nearest mechanic as we were in limp mode, turned off, and then basically went onto a highway, and at the crossroads of this highway to turn towards the garage, which was only about another like 5 minutes
No, it was
away
a
from
minute. We were
was it a
literally
minute?
1 minute
Wow.
away. Yeah, yeah. It was
The car just broke down at the crossroads. So we're literally in a lane trying to
middle
turn.
of a intersection.
And then what's interesting when we talk about stress, this sort of, we were saying how easy these situations are because you just go into like action mode. So I was like, right, I'm going to run across the road. There's some road workers over there. They've got cones and they've got, I'm going to see if they can help us in any, oh no, I said they've got cones. So you were putting out signs and stuff, but cars were still not realizing that we'd broken down.
Yeah, I had hazard lights on,
Boot
high
open.
vis vest, and the kind of like the hazard triangle thing.
They're still looking
The
at you.
car's still driving right up behind. I'm going, bloody go round. Like, I don't know what else to do to
But we're
let you
at a
know I've
crossroads,
broken
so it's so
down.
dangerous as well. Anyway, I ran and got the cones off these road guys, and as I'm walking back to you, they decide to follow me, and you said it was like a scene out the X-Men
Because
because I'm running
no,
back, and then
Avengers,
Avengers, that was it, and then there's like a triangle of men
they're like
behind me.
jogging over it, all of
Like,
their high vis.
no idea why they were following me. I was like, no, I only wanted a cone, but they were like, no, no, we'll push you, we'll push the car. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, amazing. And then yeah, just so many people showed up for us, and we said our big takeaway was, first of all, like we need to learn Portuguese because like everyone was incredible, and it would have been a lot easier if we could have just had some basic
I was quite proud of my
Portuguese.
basic
Yeah, you
Portuguese.
were very good. I'm like, ciao, bom dia.
But yeah, but again, it was one of those situations where
Yeah,
like lots of people came to our rescue and
yeah.
helped us out, and I don't know, it just felt really, really nice. And then we got home and we were like, hey, like, this is where we're meant to be.
I think it helps having Hamish when you break down, looking very sad and
Yeah. Oh,
concerned.
poor doc.
Yeah, someone
The,
help
the
them.
the only downside was the courtesy car we got was really
Yeah.
nice. And I was like, started planting this seed, and I said to Curtis, oh, maybe we could get like a new car, and like
The
find
next
like a
day,
really
when you
affordable monthly installment.
when you already had so much to do, you were looking at the price of a brand new Kia, and I was like, Jesus, Matt.
I'd say the interiors are Kias. Very nice indeed. Um, we'll see. We'll see. Put it on my vision board.
Yeah,
I'm gunning for the M5 though. That's the one. That's the one. But guys, we'll say toodles because we've been going on a bit now, haven't
yeah,
we?
very.
But the doors are open on our 12-month transformation plan. We are due to start officially at the start of May.
May.
Bloody
Yeah, yeah.
hell. Where's the year going? So if this does sound good to you, please do reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to send over more information, even hop on a call to
Just
see if it's the right fit.
email info@fitterfood.com.
Yeah, or catch us on social media if that's where you're at. But this is for people that have tried many things before and something just hasn't clicked, who are in it for the long haul. It's it does the clues in the
In the
name.
name.
It's a 12-month plan. So yeah, we'd love to help you on your journey. So please do get in touch. Other than that, I hope you've enjoyed this episode, taken something away, and think about what can you integrate from today? What can you put to work? Don't let it just be a distant memory of this thing that you heard that sounded great.
Tag us if you do change anything. We'd love to hear
Yeah.
that on social
Um,
media. That'd be amazing.
hashtag integration.
Yeah.
Big love fitties.
Integration.
Yeah. No, not sure. We'll work on that. Have a belter, guys. See you in the next one.